As AI being more developed and applied in so many fields that could interface with our lives, another field of AI is also uprising. That is the weaponized AI system. This weapon system is so controversial because there's so many books, articles, and imagination and movies based on AI uprising, which lead to a interesting argument. That is, should we weaponize AI or not? My name is David Ju, and today I'm going to present you the Weaponized AI ethical presentation. Okay, so machine learning or AI, what is it? Machine learning is basically tell a computer system creating random generalized fields to simulate a random choice of a person would do. And then based on some standard, eliminates and correcting the models, AI could perform better and better that close to the result that human could never reach. So in general, we will take a lot of data, the training data, and then we will put it into some kind of regression model. And then we let the machine figure out what the model should be like. And then we put that model into test with our test data, see if they matched. And after eliminating all the bad ones, we keep the best performance ones and regenerate a lot of different model based on that. And then we're gonna repeat this process again and again until we find a good enough performance AI. So that's how machine learning work in general. So what are some examples of weapon using machine learning? First of all, there's a term for that. It's called lethal autonomous weapon. Usually come with a lethal autonomous weapon system, but right now we just call them in general. So I'm going to refer to it as a law or a lethal autonomous weapon. One famous example is Milos, the combat robot, which deployed in South Korea in the DMZ between the North Korea so that they have both AI patrol system and the manual system on board. Another example is the recent NSA leak that they are training a machine learning based offensive operation robot or bot by the cyber command. Okay, autonomous weapon system. Should we allow the develop or the existence of the weaponized AI? Should we do that? We can evaluate this process by dividing into two benefits, the good parts and the bad parts about it. So the good part is we can significantly reduce the force losses in the combat because we don't use people anymore. Duh. And we can use AI to help our operation planning so much quicker, so we can get a better tactical plan before the enemy could generate the countermeasure. Some advantage of the robot, I will just pick the significant one, which is the organization losses. So human forces, such as an army, they don't just fight to death. They are beginning to rout when they lose, say, 25 to 50% of its original numbers. So if an army has lost like half of its original forces, that army could barely operate as a normal army and could not organize to put into a fight again. So they need to either retreat or, as I say, rout. The human forces can also lead to a surrender due to the organization losses. In this way, not just by keeping the hostage, it's more a way to suffering from the concentration camp or so on. But robot, in another hand, doesn't have those weaknesses. Robot can fight till the last one, so it can fight till like 99% of its original numbers. And they can also not given any intel on our side to the enemy. So they don't have to be worried about interrogations. They don't have to worry about the intel leak. They don't have to worry about mental issues. Um, so that's a big advantage of a robot army. So the bad part about it is it's human created technology. So it has bugs, of course. It can be trained on misleading information that cause errors when executed. And it really cannot distinguish between the combatants and non-combatants, which is probably violate the rules of engagement. So an example is the misusage of it. So let's don't talk about sentimental consciousness, emotion, or intelligence. They're just treat them as a technology that every human can use, and this will lead to a significant problem because it's technology. It's like your phone. You can push a button and it works. This killer machine or killer army, in a fair amount of size, can be used by hackers, or they can experience security breach. They might have technology leaks that let other people or enemies can crack down the codes and potentially have a countermeasure. Um, Another good example is you put the wrong person in charge, say a violent president, and since all the force control is on him, he can just make the call. And also, there's like accident because if there's bugs or anything, and they accidentally launch the nukes, that we might just call the end of the Earth. And a survey done in 2018 by the Center for Governance of AI demonstrate that 84% of American public think that AI is a technology that needs to be carefully managed. And they have a fairly tight pro AI and anti AI for social wellness distribution, replacing job opportunities. They're pretty much tied up, but they all have a common ground, that is this technology needs to be carefully managed. So on the ethical side, the public is aware that this weaponized AI could lead to a catastrophic in our society. And multiple nations already working on the regulation on the AI technology development. So why no ban but regulation? Because if you ban something, no matter what thing that is, there will always be a place let them to grow in the dark side. And let's just be honest, machine learning doesn't require a very huge facility or large number of people to develop. Uh, they really just need some crazy ideas and some computers, and you can done it. Given the intel as this thing cannot really be banned at all. So governments are trying to regulate them, which is also an publicly verified ethical ways to manage this technology. Military AI arms control will likely require the institutionalization of a new international norms embodied in fact effective technical specifications combined with active monitoring and informal policy by communities of experts together with legal and political verification process. And all that informal diplomacy definition was called track 2. And this is what all the country and the government were trying to negotiate and come to a common ground. In my personal opinion, I definitely agree with this because you cannot really ban this. Everyone with a computer can do this. It's just a matter of fact of the time. And based on the current technology evolving rate, I wouldn't suspect that in the future this type of technology can be evolved so quickly that no one can imagine. So I completely agree with their approach. And this is my ethical presentation. I hope you like it. I guess I'll see you next time.